Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
We've all met them. The ones who twist the truth, drain your energy, and make you question your own reality. The ones who leave you emotionally exhausted after every interaction. Maybe they're a coworker, a family member, or someone you once considered a friend. No matter who they are, the effect is the same. Toxicity spreads like wildfire, and if we're not careful, we get burned. But here's the good news: while we can't always avoid toxic people, we can decide how we engage with them. We get to choose how much space they get to occupy in our lives. So let's talk about 7 ways to protect your peace when you're dealing with toxic people. Let's start with boundaries. Those invisible lines we draw to protect our energy, our time, and our emotional well-being. For some reason, boundaries have been painted as selfish, rude, or unkind. But the truth, boundaries are an act of love. Not just love for ourselves, but love for others too. Here's the hard part: so many of us struggle with boundaries because we've been conditioned to believe that saying no makes us a bad person. From a young age, we're taught to be agreeable, to keep the peace, to put others' needs before our own. And while kindness and generosity are beautiful qualities, they should never come at the expense of our mental and emotional health. So what happens when we don't set boundaries? We overextend ourselves. We say yes when our whole body is begging us to say no. We allow people to take more from us than we have to give. We absorb other people's problems, emotions, and chaos until we're left drained and resentful. And when we finally break down, we wonder what went wrong. Here's the truth: boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are gates meant to protect what's valuable inside. They say, this is what I'm okay with, and this is what I'm not okay with. They allow us to show up fully without the exhaustion and resentment that comes from constantly overgiving. Setting boundaries starts with clarity. You can't enforce a boundary if you're not clear on what it is. So ask yourself, what makes me feel drained? What behaviors cross the line for me? Where do I tend to overextend and why? Who respects my time and energy? And who repeatedly takes advantage of it? Once you have clarity, you can begin setting boundaries in small, everyday ways. Maybe it's letting a friend know you can't always be available at their convenience. Maybe it's telling a coworker that you won't be answering work emails after hours. Maybe it's choosing not to engage with a family member who thrives on negativity and drama. And here's a big one: boundaries without explanation or apology. One of the biggest mistakes we make is believing we owe people a long explanation when we say no. We don't. No is a complete sentence. Think about the times you've said, "I'm so sorry, but I can't," or "I really wish I could, but I have too much on my plate." What if instead you simply said, "That doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available for that"? No guilt, no over-explaining, just a clear, steady boundary. When we explain too much, we invite negotiation. Toxic people look for loopholes. They push, they test, they guilt trip. But when you stand firm without justification, you make it clear your well-being is not up for debate. And yes, expect pushback. The people who get the most upset about your boundaries are usually the ones who benefited from you not having any. When you start enforcing boundaries, expect resistance. Expect guilt trips. Expect people to say, "You've changed." But here's the truth: they're only saying that because you're no longer tolerating what you once did. Some people won't like your boundaries, and that's okay. It's not your job to make everyone comfortable at your own expense. Your job is to protect your peace. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. The strongest, healthiest relationships are built on mutual respect. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. The ones who truly love and respect you, they'll adjust. The ones who don't, they'll resist. And that tells you everything you need to know about the role they should or shouldn't play in your life. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this: you do not have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to protect your energy. And you are absolutely allowed to say no, without guilt, without apology, and without explaining yourself. Toxic people thrive on one thing: reactions. They push buttons, stir chaos, and create drama, not because they want resolution, but because they want control. The moment you engage in their game, you hand them power over your emotions. That's why one of the smartest things you can do when you're dealing with toxic people is this: don't take the bait. Why toxic people want a reaction? Toxic people operate a lot like fishermen. They cast out the bait: passive, aggressive comments, manipulation, guilt tripping, or outright provocation, and they wait, just waiting for you to bite. And when you do, they reel you in. If you get defensive, they've won. They'll twist your words, gaslight you, and make you question your own reactions. If you lash out, they've won. Now they get to play the victim and paint you as the unreasonable one. If you try to reason with them, they've still won. Because toxic people aren't looking for resolution. They're looking for reaction. Reaction keeps the cycle alive. They feed on your energy, your frustration, your attempts to fix what they have no intention of fixing. The only real way to win is not to play. Recognizing the bait: toxic people are intentional, sometimes shockingly strategic, in how they provoke you. Their bait often shows up in subtle, calculated ways: backhanded compliments, "oh wow, you actually did something right for once," guilt trips, "I guess I'll just struggle alone since you're too busy," a blame shifting, "I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't made me angry," triangulation, playing people against each other to create drama, silent treatment, withholding communication just long enough to make you anxious and desperate to repair what you didn't break. The moment you see the bait for what it is, a tactic, you take back your power. Mastering the art of disengagement, here's a simple truth we forget. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to react to every guilt trip. You can choose stillness. You can choose silence. You can choose to step out of the storm instead of into it. Here's how to disengage in a way that protects your peace. Stay neutral. When they try to provoke you, stay anchored. Keep your tone calm and grounded. They can't escalate a conflict with someone who won't engage. Use minimal responses. A simple, "I see. That doesn't work for me. These are walls they can't climb." Delay your response. If the bait comes through text or email, don't respond right away. Give yourself space to breathe, think, and then, if needed, respond neutrally. Exit the conversation. If things escalate, walk away, literally. "I'm not engaging in this conversation." This is a power move that refuses to feed the chaos. Let them sit with their own behavior. Toxic people want you to clean up the emotional mess they create. Don't let them carry what belongs to them. The power of emotional detachment. Here's the truth. Toxic people lose interest when their tactics stop working. They want chaos. But if you refuse to give it to them, they have nothing to hold on to. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your peace than their drama. It means you understand that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every comment deserves a response. It means you know your energy is yours to protect. So the next time a toxic person tries to bait you, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? 99% of the time, the answer is no. One of the hardest lessons in life: we can love people and still choose to walk away. When we think about letting go of toxic relationships, whether it's a friend, a parent, a partner, or a coworker, we often think we have only two choices: stay and endure the toxicity, or cut them off completely with cold indifference. But there's a third option, the one most aligned with courage and compassion. Detaching with compassion. What it means to detach with compassion. Detaching with compassion means you can care about someone and still recognize that their place in your life is harmful. It means you understand you are not responsible for fixing them, healing them, or carrying their pain as your own. It means letting go without hatred, without resentment, and without guilt. So many of us hold on to toxic relationships far too long because we believe walking away means we don't care. That's simply not true. You can wish someone well and still not want them in your daily life. You can have empathy and still protect your energy. Why letting go feels so hard? Letting go is painful because we feel responsible for them. We think it's our job to help them, heal them, hold everything together. But staying in a toxic dynamic out of obligation only leads to burnout and resentment. We hold on to hope that they'll change. Maybe if we explain it better, maybe if we love harder, maybe if we're more patient. But real change comes from within. not from our effort, sacrifice, or suffering. We fear being judged as heartless. People may call us selfish, but prioritizing your mental and emotional health is not cruelty, it's self-respect. We confuse detachment with abandonment. Walking away from dysfunction doesn't mean you're abandoning the person. It means you're no longer willing to participate in a pattern that harms you. How to detach with compassion, accept that you can't change them. One of the biggest breakthroughs in detachment is realizing you are not responsible for another person's healing. You can support, yes. You can encourage, yes. But their growth is theirs. If they continue the same toxic patterns despite your effort, that says nothing about you. It reflects where they are in their own journey. Set clear boundaries without guilt. Detachment doesn't always require cutting someone off entirely, though sometimes it does. It may simply mean limiting contact, refusing to engage in their drama, or no longer carrying their emotional burdens. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. Let go of the need for closure. We often believe we need a dramatic conversation, a final explanation, or an apology before we can walk away. But closure isn't something other people give us. It's something we give ourselves. You don't need them to understand your reasons. You don't need their validation. You are allowed to close the chapter simply because it's what's best for you. Release resentment. Holding on to anger keeps you emotionally tied to the very person you're trying to detach from. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing their behavior. It means freeing yourself from the weight of it. When you let go with love instead of bitterness, you actually set yourself free. Wish them well from a distance. Detaching with compassion doesn't require hatred, revenge, or wishing them harm. It's allowing yourself to say, I hope they find peace, but I can't be the one to provide it. This mindset lets you walk away with grace instead of guilt. Detaching doesn't mean you don't care. The people we walk away from aren't always villains. Sometimes they're people we deeply love who are trapped in their own pain, repeating harmful cycles they don't even see. But love alone is not enough to sustain a relationship that continually wounds and drains us. Detaching with compassion is strength, not coldness. It's saying, I love myself enough to walk away, and I love you enough to hope you find your own healing. So if you're in a relationship that constantly depletes you, remember, you are not obligated to carry someone else's burdens at the cost of your own well-being. You can release them with love, with kindness, and with the understanding that sometimes the most loving act is letting go. When dealing with toxic people, your most powerful tool isn't logic, confrontation, or even boundaries. It's radical self-awareness. Radical self-awareness means paying close attention to your emotions, your triggers, and your patterns in relationships. It means being courageously honest with yourself about how certain people make you feel and why you react the way you do. Because here's the truth. Toxic people can only manipulate you when you don't know yourself well enough to recognize it. Why self-awareness is your superpower. Toxic people thrive on emotional confusion. They make you doubt yourself, second-guess your reactions, and wonder whether you're the problem. But when you develop radical self-awareness, you become unshakable. You recognize emotional manipulation the moment it begins. You stop engaging in toxic cycles because you finally see them for what they are. You regain control over your reactions instead of being dragged into chaos. Self-awareness gives you clarity, and clarity is power. How to develop radical self-awareness? Pay attention to how you feel around certain people. Your emotions are data. They tell you what's working and what's not. But we often ignore them or rationalize them away. Start asking yourself, do I feel drained or energized after being with this person? Do I feel anxious before I see them? Do I shrink, filter my words, or walk on eggshells around them? Do I feel respected and valued, or dismissed and controlled? Your body will tell you the truth long before your mind will. If you constantly feel uneasy around someone, trust that feeling. It's not in your head, it's a warning sign. Identify your triggers and patterns. Toxic people know exactly how to push your buttons. And if you don't know what those buttons are, they'll keep getting pressed. Ask yourself, do I feel a strong urge to prove myself when someone questions me? Do I feel guilty when someone accuses me of not being a good friend, partner, or family member? Do I shut down or over-explain when someone dismisses my feelings? These are emotional triggers, and toxic people exploit them. But once you know them, you regain control. You can step back and say, I see what's happening. I don't have to play this game. Own your part in toxic cycles. This one is tough, but necessary. Radical self-awareness means examining how you show up in toxic dynamics. It does not mean the toxicity is your fault. It means you have the power to change your response. Ask yourself, am I staying out of guilt, obligation, or fear? Am I trying to fix someone who doesn't want to change? Am I allowing disrespect because I don't want to start conflict? Am I addicted to saving people even when it costs me my peace? Self-reflection isn't about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself. When you recognize your role in the cycle, you can finally step out of it. Listen to your inner voice, not the noise around you. One of the biggest obstacles to self-awareness is external pressure. Maybe you were taught, family is everything, so you feel guilty stepping back from a toxic relative. Be nice, so you tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. You're too sensitive, so you silence your real feelings. Radical self-awareness means trusting yourself more than the outside voices. Ask, what do I truly feel? What do I truly need? And then honor those answers, even if others disagree. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Toxic people want you to doubt yourself. They twist your words, rewrite history, and make you feel like you need to justify your boundaries. Here's the hard truth. Some people don't want to understand you. They want to control you. Self-awareness helps you know the difference between someone engaging in good faith and someone trying to wear you down. If someone constantly invalidates you, stop explaining yourself. Your truth doesn't need their approval. Be willing to let go of people who don't align with your growth. Growth often means outgrowing people, and that's painful. Some people only fit past versions of you, versions that tolerated more, versions that dimmed themselves, versions that didn't know their worth. As you grow, some relationships simply don't fit anymore. It's not betrayal, it's evolution. Self-awareness is protection. Radical self-awareness isn't just understanding yourself, it's guarding yourself. When you know your emotions, your triggers, and your worth, no one can gaslight you into doubting your reality. No one can manipulate you into guilt. No one can trap you in the same toxic cycles, because you can now recognize the pattern and choose differently. So the next time you feel yourself pulled into a toxic dynamic, pause, breathe, tune in. Your feelings are not a burden, they're a compass. Listen to them, trust them, honor them. Because when you truly know yourself, no one else gets to define your reality.